Right, I know there's going to be a lot of golfers in the same boat with this one. So you go for a lesson, you get given some things to work on, maybe some drills, maybe some swing positions, and it feels great on the day, and then slowly it just starts to tail off and it doesn't feel as good. So it feels great and then it doesn't. So I'm with Liam Robinson today.
Oh, nice.
And he gets this quite a bit, you were telling me. So you guys will get given a few drills to work on by yourself, and they'll be hitting it great, and then they'll slowly just start to...
Even kind of, we could probably even bring you into this a little bit, couldn't we?
You can bring me into it.
But I'll bring you up at the right point. So, yeah, mate, I think a lot of the time, obviously, you get people come in, they get these new, fresh ideas, and you obviously get some form of improvement, like straight away.
Instant.
So literally, it's instant.
Yep.
Like, you know, even kind of, mate, you felt it.
Yeah.
So you've been in, the excitement happens, oh my God, I've got it. This is going to be the best thing ever.
Yeah.
There's numerous things that then happen.
Mm-hmm.
So number one that I would say that people don't really kind of understand is that a lot of the time when they think they're doing the drills, how correctly they're doing those drills is really, really important. So if you think back to even when you were in South Africa, if you think when you were in South Africa, like we had a chat after the first event.
Mm-hmm.
First round went great.
Yeah.
Second round, car crash.
Yeah.
Or you'd think so if you'd spoken to you. It probably wasn't as bad as you were making out, because it never is with us golfers, because we get emotional. But the first thing I did, doesn't sound like you at all, mate. And then literally the thing then is that we then had the chat, and I said to you, how many towel drills are you doing? And you're like,
yeah, that's the thing. And it wasn't just that I wasn't doing the towel drill because I was, but I was doing the towel drill not in the right way, because the towel that I was using wasn't big enough and heavy enough. It was too light, so I wasn't getting that resistance and getting that braking, which is what it's designed to do. So I was doing the drill, but in the wrong way.
Exactly. And this is the other thing. So a lot of people think they're doing the drills, but there's two things that can go wrong with those. Just number one, they don't do it the correct way.
Yeah, I guess a lot of people do that.
A lot.
Yeah, especially people that just watch the video and go, oh, that looks like a good drill, I'll try and do that. And they're not doing it right.
And it's not even probably the right drill for them half the time.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, just because they get moving, actually see massive improvements, and they've never come in for a lesson, they've just watched the content, they've just got moving and they've got that. But then what starts to happen, mate, is over time, is I love working with clients when I get to like a second, third lesson.
Yeah.
The reason being is what you start to get a handle on then is what part of your golf swing is that extreme that even in the drills it manages to creep in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's then when you go basic drill, and then we just move you in a direction of creating a toolbox to deal with those bits that are the strongest.
Yeah.
And I think the problem is a lot of the time is that people think they're doing the drills. So for example, a great example of this is that somebody goes, I'm getting off of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you get them and you're like, well, yeah, you are. But the problem is, because their brain's going, I don't want to get off of it.
Yeah.
It's going like this. So they think they're getting off of it here, but then they're going like this.
Mate, this is
with
what
their
I was
lower
doing.
body.
Shall I just show them?
Yeah, go on.
Because I look back at my swing at a certain point, I was like, it just looks a bit strange. There was like so much lateral movement, but I was like stuck in the floor here. So it's like I was basically just going like this, and I was moving off of it and down. But not in the way you want me to get off of it by
there.
You're getting the weight up and out rather than I'm just gonna move this way over here.
Exactly.
Like the lower body is completely stagnant and you're completely under it and stuck. So that's
just to say we haven't had this conversation either. Like, do you know what I mean? It's not like so it's like that would be probably the number one when people think that they're getting off of it that I see and they're not.
Yeah.
So I've changed my terminology since I've seen this as often as I have, and I use the term now, instead of getting off, I use the term unweighting.
Unweighting, mate, and that's actually the perfect feel for it as well. It's the unweighting. You're trying to feel like you have like weight into the floor. And it's almost like you're trying to unweight yourself up and out, and that's again. It's another long drive move, but you're not really coaching people to be long drivers, but there's a lot of crossovers.
Efficiently. And if you're trying to generate speeds that aren't really that attainable, you've got to be as efficient as possible in how you use the ground and how you move and all the space and energy around you. So it is very similar. But the way that I almost do it, like, you were kind of just demonstrating like this, if you go back to some of the original lessons, you'll hear that I say up and off.
Yeah.
I don't say off, I say up and off. And if you think when I push you, I'm not just pushing you to the side, I'm keeping you up too.
Yeah.
Because that's also really important, because everything in the golf swing is obviously action, reaction. So the problem is, if you lose height, the problem is then the reaction tat's always going to be under.
Yeah.
Then you're stuck.
Yeah.
You're screwed.
Not,
do you know what I mean? You've got
not
nowhere
a good
to go
situation
from
to be
there.
in.
So the way that I like to sometimes do it, if you just want to, I'll grab the towel, is I actually do a drill for the, I know we've gone off the piece there, we're on like something else now, but this is what happens.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, like, that's sort of related back to what I was doing, and
so it's interesting.
Yeah, 100%.
It's interesting that I brought up the thing that you actually have found, which is interesting as well. But like, I very often do it in a way of like, so this is what I mean by the step drills. A lot of people will go on Instagram and they'll copy them, but they're clueless as to like all the little things that are within them. So like, for example, a step drill, if I had somebody that was doing that and not on waiting, so they'd come in for the first session, they'd be doing a step drill like this, say, and hitting the towel, but then if they come back 3 weeks later and all of a sudden I see them doing this, where they're going here but they're not on waiting, they're keeping their pelvis lift, I would then get them to unweight by, instead of kind of stepping in lateral lines, I'd almost get them to lift up. So I do a variation where I go up and I go
forcing you up
and then off, because then you have to unweight. You've got no choice, and you've got to go up too.
Yeah.
So there's so many variations within the drills, and what you tend to find is your habits always want to come back.
Yeah. Getting back to the point of the video, that is literally in it. Your habits, your underlying habits,
they're always going to be there.
Are always going to be there.
Yeah. Like,
so although that
down the line,
that sort of like instant fix that you feel that you get, sort of is there to a degree, but that is still underlying those faults that you have.
And they find their way in, and generally, I've got a real cool story about this here. Like, so Brandon was out in Switzerland, yeah, and he'd sent me his normal golf swing. And I was like, looked alright. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not, certainly nothing stood out that made me go, I need to speak to you.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, mate, he was like, look, I haven't hit the ball good today on day 3. Don't get me wrong, it was pumping like 50 mile an hour.
Yeah,
winds.
I remember.
I don't know anybody who's going to swing great in that.
Yeah.
And the scoring was shocking. But like, it was a bad day. And he's like, the first SOS I really had from him is like, and he hadn't even got out the lunchroom and I was on FaceTime to him. And he went down to the range. And do you know what, mate? He went to his left arm drill, hadn't seen it in the normal swing, got on his left arm drill. I'm like, what are you doing there? Do you know what I mean? And so if you're doing the drills and you've got the right ones for you, I guarantee you what's going wrong on the course will show up within the drills. So all of a sudden he started doing something with his left arm that he hadn't done for up until that point. We fixed that. He went out his 8 under through 12 in the final round. Do you know what I mean? And all of it, and yeah, like I think he finished like 6 under for the day. But like all of a sudden he was on like 59 watch. It was just because he fixed the drill, then went out and then starts flushing it. So it happens to all of us. That's the point. But the problem is, if you're not getting feedback on the drills and you're not managing them and you don't know exactly what you're looking for. Like, we had a conversation before you went to South Africa, and I said, I really think whatever you're doing, you need to come see me. I really tried. I couldn't push it any harder than I did. And do you know why that was, James? Is because I understand the game enough to know that the minute you get out there, you get under the gun.
Yeah,
you're going to feel stuff that you don't like. You're then going to start going, maybe this isn't for me. Then you're going to start blending it in with some crap you were doing before. And then before you know it, it all capitulates because situation's too stressful. You haven't got the kind of stuff behind you need.
It's like the toolbox, isn't it?
The toolbox, mate. And that's exactly what it is. So like, whereas I knew if you'd come in and I said to you, every 2 days I expect you to send me this, every third day I expect this, your performance games I expect this, you'd have definitely played a lot. You'd have stayed more in line with what you needed to do.
No, 100%.
Do you know what I mean? And that's just like, but that's experience of mine because I understand the game as a player too.
Yeah.
And I know what happens because I've done it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I come back from Australia so many times and I've got my swing where I want it. And then all of a sudden I have one bad week, can't get in touch with the coach on the phone. Then all of a sudden you start going, maybe I'll try this a bit.
Oh, I'll have a go at this.
Yeah, exactly. And then before I know it, I'm like on
shallow.
YouTube and I'm like trying everything that's on there. Right, if I get my arms more here, maybe that'll work. No, that's crap. Then before you know it, then you spend 3 months circling back to where you were at the start of the season. If you just kept doing what you were doing consistently, you'd have found it after 2 weeks. Instead, it took you half the season. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And that happens every year. Like, and the problem is the way it happens to a lot of us guys, particularly mini tour players, is that you take 6 months off every year. So you can spend 6 months and at home in a studio or out on the golf course where you think you're progressing, but unfortunately, when you then get it under the gun on the first game of the season, you realise 6 months of work has been a complete and utter waste of time.
That is the most awful feeling, isn't it? Yeah, you could be working at something for
like
6 months.
You're still on the first
and
team,
you're like, oh my God, what have I done?
The best experience I ever had for this was I played a challenge tour in Spain, and this first hole, mate, I played it 2 days in the practice day, hit it straight up the middle, stand on there, I've not hit a shot offline in like 3 months. Get on there, mate. I hit a rest. I remember it to this day. I feel sick about it still now. I hit a hybrid about 80 yards right, and I was like, mate, the rest of the day, I swear to God, I was like,
a mess.
What do I do? I'm like, I've got hybrid back here somewhere, and I'm just going, please go straight, and then get on the range after. But it's so funny because it's like all of a sudden you get those feels, and every single thing you've been working on can be blown up in one shot.
Yeah.
But that's where, over the years in my career, that I was just so committed to this stuff, mate. Like I had almost a comfort in it, where it was like, right, I can feel myself losing this after 12 holes. I'm just going to get it in. I'm going to get back on my towel after the round. I'll be fine tomorrow.
Yeah.
Whereas I never had that with anything else. And I think that's why it made such a difference to my career.
So there you go. A roundabout way of saying that you need to carry on getting tuition, essentially. Like I know it would be amazing to go to a golf lesson, to get something, and it just works for the rest of your golfing life. But that is not.
Expect it to come backwards a little bit, because your natural habits are gonna go into the drills and start messing it up.
And then when that does happen, don't freak out.
Yeah, just get back on the drill.
Don't freak out.
Let's not panic.
Yeah.
Let's just get back in the garden, get back to the things that you know have worked the first time, and equally just have a bit more. Try and have more understanding as to what you're trying to achieve within the drill. As long as you know exactly what that's supposed to look like most of my guys, when they come in for a lesson, go away with videos of what they're doing, me talking over it. You know what you should be looking at, and it's like just try and get back to where you were. It's not like, oh, that's it, don't work. I'm gonna rebuild.
Yeah.
Like every single time it goes wrong.
Yeah.
So you'd be way better off if you just stay consistent with it.
There you go. Hope that's helped. Loads more videos with Liam coming soon. Subscribe. See you on the next one.